Good morning, children. Welcome to the microeconomics class. Today we'll study the first chapter, which is named as Introduction. Actually, we have two books in class 11th. One is Statistics, another one is Microeconomics. In case of Microeconomics, we are starting the first chapter. It is 4th unit of your whole syllabus. And before starting the chapter, let's know what is economics. Economics is a subject in which economic activities of the people are studied. And you all know what are the economic activities? Economic activity means any activity that is performed to earn money. So it is a subject in which all these economic activities are studied. It studies economic problems related to scarcity of resources. Or in other words, we can say that economics is a science of human behavior concerned with the allocation of scarce means in a manner that consumers can maximize their satisfaction. Consumers can maximize their satisfaction. So consumer satisfaction should be taken the most care. Second one, where the producers can maximize their profits. I mean producers maximum profit. And the third thing which is to be included in definition of economics is society can maximize its social welfare. Society's social welfare. If all these are included in that subject, so this is the science which includes the consumer's maximum satisfaction, producers maximum profit, and society's maximum social welfare. Now, what is scarcity? The word is very important in your subject. Scarcity. Scarcity means anything which is more in demand and less in supply. Availability of the resources or the goods or anything which you desire, that is less than what you demand. So this is known as scarcity. Choice. Choice is another term. Choice means process of selection of available alternative resources. We know a problem of choice is economic problem. So we have the choice to select the one out of number of alternatives with us. Resources are scarce, they can be allocated to alternative uses. When resources can be put to different uses, then there arises scarcity, because we cannot acquire, we cannot take everything what we desire. And when this scarcity arises, there comes a problem of choice. And when there is choice, there comes the next step, that is decision making. That means we have to choose, we have to decide which want is the most urgent want. And use of limited means so that the consumers can maximize their wants, producers can maximize their profits, and society can maximize their social welfare. If decision making is there, then we all can attain these terms of economics. This is all economics. Again, try to understand, it is a subject, it is a human behavior which studies the economic activities, and the economic activities means the three things are to be included in it. That it is a science in which consumers wants its maximum satisfaction, producers wants its maximum profits, and society wants its maximum social welfare. Let's understand now what is microeconomics and what is macroeconomics. Actually, microeconomics is study of very smaller unit, individual unit, but macro studies the economy as a whole, the aggregate. So suppose we want to distinguish between them, you will be better understand if I differentiate between microeconomics and macroeconomics. First base, let's take meaning. Microeconomics is the study of individual economic units of an economy. Individual, study of individual units. If we take the example of individual unit is a consumer, a producer, any one person, single unit or smaller unit, that is the microeconomics. Macroeconomics is the study of economy as a whole, and its aggregates such as national income, then consumption, general price level, all these are included in macroeconomics, means study of economy as a whole. We consider the whole aggregates, for example, national income. National income is the income of the whole economy. On second base, if we take scope, in case of microeconomics, it is primarily concerned with the determination of relative prices of the goods. Only prices of the goods are taken in case of microeconomics, considered with the prices of or relative prices of goods. Relative prices of goods. This is the primarily which we consider in case of microeconomics. But in case of macroeconomics, macroeconomics is concerned with the determination of aggregates of general price level. We take general price level here. Determination of general price level. Thirdly, we can differentiate both on the basis of tools. So, as it is the smaller unit, micro is the smaller unit, so its tools are demand and supply. So, demand and supply are the tools of microeconomics. If we go for the macroeconomics, as it is related to the aggregates of facts, so aggregate demand and aggregate supply are the tools. Fourthly, degree of aggregation. Degree of aggregation. How they are distinguished on the basis of degree of aggregation? There is limited amount of aggregation in case of microeconomics. Limited degree. But in case of macroeconomics, there is high degree of aggregation. In case of macroeconomics, high degree. Next term, last we can say, we can differentiate it on the basis of interdependence. You all must know that both macro and micro, they are dependent on each other. Micro variables are dependent on macro variables. Dependent on macro variables. Whereas macro variables are dependent on micro variables. Next we have the positive economics and normative economics. It is also known as positive norms and normative norms. If we talk of the positive economics, it deals with the economic issues related to the past, present and future. If we think of the features of positive economics, the first one is that they highlight the nature of the extent of economic problems or analyze the behavior of people related to past, present and future. Past, present and future. Secondly, in case of positive economics, these statements are based on facts and figures related to past, present and future. Based on facts. Facts and figures. Factual informations are included in case of positive economics or positive norms. Thirdly, they are verified for truth. Verified for truth. And fourthly, these statements do not reflect value judgment. Do not reflect value judgment. I am repeating them. Try to understand them again. Positive economics are positive norms. They relate to the past, present and future. Secondly, these statements, positive norms or positive statements, are based on the facts. Factual informations are taken into account in case of positive norms. And thirdly, they are verified for truth, means for guaranteed that is true. And the fourth one is they do not reflect any value judgment. If we go for the examples of positive norms, if we say that a man is mortal, he has to die, this is known as positive economics or positive norm, because a person has been born, but when he has taken the birth, he has to die. This is a factual truth. This is a fact and truth. So this is positive norm or positive economics. Second one is normative economics. All opposite of this positive economics is normative economics. It is concerned with the what should be or what ought to be the things. This is normative economics. If we go for its features, the first feature is these statements involve value judgment. Involve value judgment. That means any judgment that has been given by anyone, that is accepted. Means these facts can be accepted on the basis of judgment. Secondly, they lead to controversies and debates. Controversies and debates. Because different people have different opinions. So everybody's opinions cannot be matched with each other. They may be different, so these statements may become a matter of debates and controversies. For example, we say that rural poverty is more dangerous than the urban poverty, but some people think it is right, some may oppose it. So they become the matter of debates and controversies. And the third one is they indicate opinions and are therefore not verified for truth. Opinions based. If I say that there is inflation in our country, this is my opinion, but the another person, he may say no, there is deflation in the economy, the prices are not rising, so it is his opinion. So these statements, normative statements, are opinion based. And the fourth one is they reflect what ought to be as a solution to the problem. What ought to be, what should be done. If I, for example, fourth, let me write reflect what ought to be. O-U-G-H-T, ought to be. That means, suppose I say India is overpopulated country and India has poverty, or third person says there is severe poverty in our country, but the opinion can be given that poverty can be removed if population of the country can be controlled. So this is my opinion. It reflects what ought to be. I am giving the opinion that poverty can only be controlled if population of our country is controlled. So this is normative economics, and that's all. And if you have any problem, you can call me anytime on my personal number. Thank you very much.